Finally got the go-ahead. I think it's probably quarter to 10, 9:45, so about an hour wait. They finally opened up the lift. This is, like I said, just gonna be epic.
We've done our favorite resorts. We've done our top powder days. We've even done our top POV runs at some point. But in this episode, I want to take the time to talk about my all-time favorite singular shot, not a run, not a day, not a chairlift, not a zone, but a singular shot within a singular run that to this day is my all-time favorite face shot. Now this took place on New Year's Day of 2023 here at Park City. This was like day one or day 1.5 of a multi-day storm cycle that came in here to Utah. Now there was so much snow that fell overnight, even the lifts right off the bottom of the mountain were on hold, which in my experience just does not really happen. Usually you're able to get off the bottom up to the mid-mountain and everything off there will be on hold for a little bit. But the goal still was to get off the bottom and try to get up into a better position to be able to disperse depending on what opened up, so you could kind of attack the better terrain once the patrollers finished avalanche control. Now, because we started off at the Silver Star lift, which is this sort of like awkward, like in-between lift, you have to take a really short shot. It's almost like, I almost discredit it as a run because it's short and it's just like a traverse run to get you down to King Kong, which will ultimately sort of get you out of that hole and start to get you more up on the mountain. I didn't really know what to expect because even though there was so much snow, typically at the lower elevation of the mountain, you don't really reap the rewards of it till you get much higher. So I just threw a GoPro on the end of my pole, hit record. I didn't have a head camera or anything. Just jumped off the lift and, well, here you go.
What's up, man?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, is it deeper, boys? Oh my God! Holy shit! Absolutely unreal. Face shots this low? It's like nuts. Is that deep or what? Holy shit. Once you get over to King Kong, it's a very short lift ride up to sort of like, I don't know, halfway to mid-mountain. And you have to ski off King Kong to then pick up Silver Lode, which will then take you truly up to the middle of the mountain, gets you sort of up at a nice area to go after other parts of the mountain. But off King Kong, there is a snowfield that I almost always ski when I'm doing this route to get on the mountain. And this typically holds snow really well. A lot of people kind of ski past it or don't ski it at all. So with a day like this, after experiencing what I just did on the lower mountain, I knew that this snowfield was gonna be pretty epic. It's short, it's not very steep, but again, it's still like a nice little warm up. And when there's this much snow, it really doesn't matter. It can be epic either way. So at this point, I did put a head cam on and I was just rolling both my cameras because again, you don't really know what to get and you don't know like what's gonna happen. So when the stuff is this epic, I'm just sort of rolling on both things. But the problem with this run is that it's really not steep enough for the amount of snow we had. So once we dropped in, you almost couldn't even turn. You just like kept them straight. I was on the White Walkers 121s and it was just like, I feel like I was kind of in heaven. Just the amount of snow that effortlessly came up over my head, in my face. I was honestly even choking on it by the bottom. Oh my God. Look how deep this is. You can't even turn. Oh. 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 Oh.
You can't have fat enough skis for today.
Yeah.
There's just no.
I don't even want to see.
There's no 121 seem narrow.
We literally did like a transition run to get over to the lifts and it was over my head without even trying. Deepest snow I've ever skied in my life. This is historic in my opinion. Absolutely historic levels of snow for Park City.
Dude, it's pinch the thighs, hands in front, and just let it roll up you like a brake.
Now, this is where things absolutely got exciting. Because there was so much snow, nothing off the upper mountain and really anything past mid-mountain was open. So kind of forced us to ski some of the lower mountain stuff that I typically don't find myself on, even in powder days. Typically McConkey's opens up pretty quickly and you can start to farm that. But rather than do another lap down to Silverlode, we decided to try out the trees over on Motherlode. There's honestly a good amount of sort of double blacks and black terrain off Motherlode, which is good when you have snow this deep because you need that steep terrain. You need the gravity to sort of help you out. Speed is typically your friend in snow this deep. But the fun part was that I don't really ski this side of the mountain very often. So I didn't really know where I was going. I mean, I know of the area, I know sort of how it funnels down and sort of where the fall lines lead to, but for the most part, I was kind of out exploring. And again, at this point, you're still so buzzed off the Powder Panic. Like you haven't really reached like that peak of the Powder Day yet. You know it's lurking, you know it's there, but like you're kind of chasing that feeling. And it's almost like we're still sort of building up to it. It's like, I know it's there, I know I can get it, but I haven't gotten it yet. And so it's quite literally like a drug. The first run down Motherlode, I was honestly a little bit disappointed. I feel like I couldn't really maximize and extract what I wanted out of the Pow Day. I felt like I was skiing some weird fall lines. I found myself sort of traversing and in turn sort of like losing vertical. So I felt like I was kind of wasting the run. And typically on a Pow Day like that, every run gets exponentially more skied up every one that passes. So like I really try to take advantage of those first few runs. So I was probably about halfway done with this first Motherlode lap. I needed to try something new. So I kept looking on the side of the runs, trying to find little tree islands, places that people wouldn't have already skied. And I remember I made a turn underneath the Motherlode lift area where it's kind of cleared out. I kind of was scoping over this like knob that I didn't really know where it led, and it was like this in-between sort of area that I feel like you either ski before it or you ski past it and ski the run after it. So in my mind, I was like, this could be a fun little area, albeit it's going to be short and, you know, I don't know, it might flatten out a good amount, but it could be a good area that most people have passed by. So next thing I knew, I was basically totally in the white room, and I got that initial like whoosh. I was like, oh my, you know, it's like that was the drug. That was like what I was chasing, was that right there. So I was like, yes, this is it, you know, like. So then like the next phase of that was like, it totally engrossed me, and I was like, this is so sick, this is what I'm looking for, like hell yeah. And then it was like, you know, the next phase I was like, this is a pretty long face shot. Like I can't see, I know there's trees down here, but I don't know where the trees are. I've never skied this before, and wasn't like I looked before I dropped in. I kind of just went for it. And so then I was kind of like, all right, I've kind of had my fix. I'm ready to open up. I'm ready to see something because I'm a little bit scared. Then the fourth phase started coming in, and I was like, okay, I've kind of had enough. And I remember I went up and like tried to like wipe my goggles, like I had snow in my face. And nothing happened. Makes sense because I'm just surrounded by snow. So by me trying to wipe my goggles was kind of comical because I just wiped the snow and I was still in the clouds. So at this point, I'm kind of ready for this to be over because I know at the speeds I'm going, granted it's not fast, I'm probably going 10, 12 miles an hour. Stuff is still moving pretty quickly when you're in a relatively small space like that. So finally, I started to see some semblance of like contrast, meaning like I could see some branches and I was starting to emerge out of this. And somehow, after looking back at like the shot, I managed to just thread through these trees just properly enough. Had I just been a little bit farther to the left, a little bit farther to the right, I would have for sure hit one of these trees. Now, I don't think it would have been a very bad impact, but again, when there's this much snow, it's very easy to get buried and sort of just like, you know, it's just not something you want to really mess with. There is such thing as too much snow. And so I feel like I was a addict that has finally been satiated and reached that sort of peak that I had been earning for the first 3 runs. And I felt like at this point I could safely relinquish myself from the Powder Day, and it just led to my all-time best face shot, Powder Day face shot sort of thing that I have yet to top. I spent all last year since then, never got anything close to that face shot. one of the things that helped amplify this shot more from a technical standpoint was one of the frame rate that I used. I shot this at a very, very high frame rate, 240 frames per second, which is something I really never use. And for me, when I get powder days, I think high frame rate because I want that slow motion face shot. It's just my style. It's just what I like. But this was so epic, so deep that I decided to up it a notch. And with 240 frames a second, it means I can slow the footage down 10 times. So that's why I think one of the main elements to me that made this so sick, because when you look back at it in normal speed, it's sweet, but you don't get that like semblance of like grandeur. And then when you sprinkle some other stuff on it, you just get this like majestic, holy crap moment that you can really soak it in, just the magnitude of something like this. And I think another subtle thing that really helped the shot that I don't think most people would realize was I was using an ND filter. So when the snow kicked up, it looks realistic. It has the same motion blur that you would see with your eyes. Now again, this is such a subtle detail, but if I didn't have this on, and that snow was flying by, it wouldn't look the same, I can promise you that. So the fact that I had this, it just added that little extra element of spice to it that just made it look just that much more silky, that much more smooth. Not only to ski, not only to get the face shot, but also to film it, record it, capture it, and be able to sort of put it in the bank to spice it up in editing. I think is something that added to this whole thing. So anyways, get stoked for winter. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Nothing super crazy, something fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, fam. Peace out.